Everybody. Sorry for the slight delay, but I am, sorry, forgot there was a microphone sitting here. I am Christine Fujiki. I am the membership manager here at the California Film Institute, and I am so pleased to be welcoming you, both here and in person and live streaming from home, to our member preview event this year. Yay. So before we get started, I just want to run through a couple of our safety protocols. They're new this year, and we just want to make sure that everyone's really clear on them. So I actually have it written down, so I'm just going to read it off to you real quick. So this year, to ensure the safety of our staff and all of the attendees at the festival, we are going to be requiring full vaccination or a negative COVID test within 72 hours to enter any of our venues, our controlled venues. If you choose, this goes for screenings, all of our events, etc. So if everybody here in the audience right now, you got a little bit of a taste of how that's going to work. But for everyone at home, you can bring a photo of your vaccination card. You can bring it verified on an app. Either of those is perfectly fine. But we will need the vaccination, and we will need your state or federal ID. We are also going to be requiring masks at all of our indoor events. Yeah, so if, as you can see up here, there's a lot of details around this, so please visit our website, mvff.com/COVID. It has full details on all of this. And if you still have more questions, you can always reach out to me and the membership team at membership@cafilm.org. Thank you. Yeah, so please, any questions, just reach out, let us know. So now that that is done, I would like to welcome to the stage my boss and the founder of the Mill Valley Film Festival, Mark Fishkin.
Good evening. I too would like to welcome our members in the audience at the beautiful Christopher B. Smith Rafael Film Center and our audience of members and others at home. Thank you for joining us for this very special preview of the 2011 44th Mill Valley Film Festival. We are so excited to be in a theater with our friends and our members and our community. So thank you for being here. As Christine said, your safety is our highest priority. And we really had two goals as we came into this very unusual year, is to make a really safe place for our audience. We are so fortunate to live in Northern California and this beautiful county of Marin. We know how special it is in many, many different ways. But it is also, during this extraordinary time, one of the safest places and the most highly vaccinated county, probably, if not in the world, the country, easily. That was goal number one. Goal number 2 was to create a vibrant, exciting, meaningful film festival for you, one that honors our commitment to showing films that outline and focus on our common humanity. And I think our programming staff has done that with flair and great thoughtfulness, and it's my pleasure now to introduce 2 members of the team. Sorry we don't have the whole team with us, but I'd like to introduce Zoe Elton, our longtime Director of Programming, and Joanne Parsant, our Director of Education, who is also a programmer. Welcome. Hello.
We'll have a little who's on first moment here.
So, we are going to start off by showing you a selection of our trailers and a discussion about that film and some other films that are related in many interesting ways. And I think we're going to roll right into...
Talking about the...
excuse me?
Yeah, we're going to roll right into the strands before we roll into the clips.
Oh, we're going to roll into the strands. That's right. Sorry, Zoe.
No, it's
Please,
okay. It's fine.
please.
We know
Let's
each
talk
other
about the
very well, as you can
strands.
tell. We just a quick update on something that's new this year are the strands that we have created. So, quite often when people ask us, what should I see? And you've got, 11 days of amazing films, what we'll say back to you is, well, what do you like? And what we decided to do with our great curatorial team this year was to offer a new way of navigating the festival. So we've created thematic strands, 9 of them, and we've divided all of the films that exist in the festival into themes like create, debate, grow, heart. So we're hoping that, for instance, if you chose a film like Bernstein's Wall about Leonard Bernstein, that you might look to see what else exists in that strand, and you might find something like haute couture, or if you were looking at French Dispatch, the Wes Anderson film that resides in the strand called Laugh, you might also find a very cool film called Bad Attitude. So we are hoping that this will be a great way for you to be able to explore the festival in a slightly different way from the way that you've been able to do it before. The other thing also that I just wanted to mention as we go into this reveal of the films, some films will be live in theaters. Some films will be available online. Some films will be both of those. What you will find is that the big nights, which pretty much take place here at the Raffel, with some at the Sequoia, none of those titles will be available online. There's an amazing selection of films that are available online. It's probably about 50 or 60% of the whole program. Include, a gamut worthy of your exploration, whether it's for short films, documentaries, narrative films, some amazing world films. So definitely 2 ways to experience the festival. Some people have asked why some films are not available online. The one-word answer would be security. Because a film festival like Mill Valley is playing films for the first time, films that haven't come out theatrically, there are a lot of issues around security when they play online. So we're seeing films before they've come out, and especially with the larger studio films, it's a big risk. The industry loses literally millions of dollars a year to piracy. So that's why we haven't been able to have everything available online. But that said, we feel like we have a very, very secure way of showing you films online, and luckily we have also a great selection of films that you'll be able to see there. So, back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Zoe. So now we're going to start to roll our first trailer. The film that we're going to look at is called Born in Chicago, and it's directed by Bob Sarles and John Anderson. And Bob is actually a veteran of Mill Valley Film Festival, but we'll talk about that after we take a look at the trailer.
When most people think of Chicago blues, the beginning was Muddy Waters.
He was like a god to me. I just couldn't even imagine ever knowing someone of his greatness.
Were Muddy and Wolf friends?
No.
Enemies?
Yeah.
Anytime you have Howlin' Wolf, the Muddy Waters, Little Walter, James Cotton, Junior Wells, and Otis Royce, Willie Dixon, everybody was there.
Rock and roll come from the blues. I don't care how you play it, it's the blues.
Michael said, man, we could go down to the south side of Chicago. Come on, man, we're gonna go down and sit in with Howling Wolf. Michael Bloomfield, he got a friend with him, he's gonna play the keyboards, you know. And I started to shake.
And Wolf did. I don't care what color you are, these guys can play.
I was walking around the neighborhood, sitting on some steps in front of an apartment building was a white guy playing blues on the guitar and drinking a quart of beer. It was Butterfield.
We were all in Chicago. Musselwhite, Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Corky Siegel, Jim Schwall, Barry Goldberg, Steve Miller, White Kids. Nuts for blues.
Big John's was great, man. It was Butterfield's home base, and they were the center of that scene.
Buddy guy used to come tearing out here with his guitar and his 100-foot cord and literally go out in the middle of the street here and stop traffic everywhere.
Harvey wanted to be in those clubs, playing in the meanest, toughest places.
Harvey was one of the first white guitar players that was coming in the black club.
If you can play, you're halfway home.
I was in Chicago just at this peak period of time. It couldn't have happened anywhere but Chicago. You know, everybody talks about it like we were these little white boys. We were competing with Howlin' Wolf for his gig. It wasn't like we were getting a free pass for anything.
This band is loaded with artists that have a history. I want people to know about it. It wasn't all the Rolling Stones and Eric Clapton. It was the Chicago blues guys.
Born in Chicago is one of a number of documentaries that we have that are dealing with music. And so we're really excited about this portion of our documentary section. Bob was here with a film on Burt Burns that we showed, I believe, in 2016. So he is immersed in this world of film and music. And it's a film like with two stories. One of honoring Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and the great blues musicians of Chicago, but also these young guys, and many of them white guys, and who just love the blues. And it's kind of interesting on a personal level for me because Michael Bloomfield lived in Mill Valley when we first started the Mill Valley Film Festival and had a little theater called the Saturday Night Movie. And as people were entering the theater and waiting for the show to start, he would just walk in, sit down at this upright piano, and start playing the blues. So this is a very special film for us.
Wasn't it around that time as well they started doing the Blue Monday thing at the Sweetwater?
I would not doubt that if
you
my
know,
memory served me.
Monday became the traditional day for people to play the blues at the clubs, and so that will be happening at the festival too, I believe.
Well, I should mention a couple of other films that have music too, because some of them also have shows at the amazing Sweetwater Club. So Song for Cesar is an amazing film that documents the Chicano movement and the farm workers movement and how music played this integral part in terms of getting awareness. And not just musicians, but artists of all kind. It's an amazing film. It's our world premiere, and we will be doing a benefit show at Sweetwater. And we're very, very excited about that program. In addition, we have a film called Like a Rolling Stone, The Life and Times of Ben Fong Torres. And most of you know Ben from his work at the Rolling Stone magazine. He was an ongoing interviewer here at the Mill Valley Film Festival, a radio personality. It's an amazing film, and it has interviews with everybody from local musicians and people, American musicians, and Elton John. And in that, too, will be a special show at Sweetwater. And one other film that you certainly don't want to miss is called The Velvet Underground. And it's directed by Todd Haynes. As you remember, he did the film about Dylan, I'm Not There, and Carol, an extraordinary filmmaker.
Indeed, indeed. Are we going to roll some more?
We are. We're going to
Yeah,
move
I
on.
think we are.
Yeah.
Joanne, set it up for us.
So we are going to move on to another selection of documentaries in a variety of different categories outside of music. So we're going to start off with 2 more trailers. One is a film called Co-Extinction by directors Gloria Pancrazzi and Elena Jean. That is a very powerful environmental documentary about 2 extinctions, which you will see in the trailer. And then follow that with another film called Subjects of Desire by Jennifer Holness, a really, really wonderful, powerful documentary about images of beauty and blackness and how that has been sort of twisted and manipulated in our culture and how they are taking ownership of their beauty and their blackness. So let's roll those 2 and then we can talk about a few more.
There's clearly a pattern that the southern resident killer whales are not getting enough food, they're starving.
Their survival is hanging on edge right now.
You know, we're in a time now when there's opportunity to stop it.
Industry has been able to just come in and move in and leave us with a disaster, a mess to clean up. The government has a very big, embarrassing stain on their history.
Not one orca whale did we lose while we were the stewards of that Snake River.
The loss of orca is the loss of mankind.
We just watch, and then there'll be one, and there'll be a spectacle.
You know what? We've been far too nice for far too long. We're not asking for our land back, we're taking it.
I think any woman's road is easier if she's beautiful. The way I look has helped me in my life, but even my beauty doesn't change that I'm black.
The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman.
What I love about the Miss Black America pageant is it creates a space for us to continue to celebrate Black beauty unapologetically.
I wanted to be a part of the Miss Black America pageant. I needed to feel as though I mattered and my voice mattered.
Little white kids would always comment on your hair. Oh, it's so big. You look like a lion. You know, like you look like an animal. No one else says that to anybody else.
In the realm of beauty, Black has to be minimized.
People tell me, all right, when you gonna straighten your hair? Your hair, your hair, your hair.
When you don't love yourself, you don't love anything.
There are only 3 models for what a Black woman can be. Somebody's caretaker or maid, this over-sexualized video girl, or they're the angry Black woman. We're more than that.
In a global world, we are moving towards a very different mixed ideal.
What's considered ghetto is now popular.
The history of race is such a painful one that then to just be like, I like the way this looks. It's so dismissive.
This concept of beauty was being applied to me, but I never believed I needed to look that way. To be beautiful, to be great, to be excellent. This is what everybody comes to see anyway.
Let's keep embracing that beauty because it's always been here and it ain't going away.
'Cause I am me, you are yours, I am black, I am beautiful.
Always makes me so happy to just see it on screen. So Co-Extinction is actually one of 4 films that are in our Active Cinema initiative this year, which is a selection of films that are essentially designed for inspiring action and empowering change. Zoe actually developed this initiative how many years ago now, Zoe?
It's about 11 or 12 years ago, yeah. Long time ago.
And where we provide additional resources to help people, when you watch a film like Co-Extinction that talks about, an issue that, either angers you or just frustrates you, that needs to be changed, that you don't just sit there and wonder, what do I do now? That we provide some additional resources of what that might look like and ways for you to get involved and connected to help the filmmakers really get their messages out. So another film in that initiative is a film called Ladybuds. Zoe, do you want to talk a little bit about Ladybuds?
Well, yeah, also just on the topic of active cinema, so I think with all of the films that will be playing as a part of active cinema, the filmmakers will be here to do a Q&A in theatre, but there will also be pre-recorded Q&As that will go into the topic a little bit more deeply that we'll have available online. So in addition to some of the films that you can see online, you'll also be able to access Q&As with the filmmakers online. I think there was some confusion last year about watching a film online and then finding the Q&A. We just want to make sure that there are some very vibrant discussions online as well. And yes, Ladybuds, kind of a great title actually, but it's about the cannabis industry and the women who are involved in it. It's a locally made film. I think filmmaker is in Sonoma, right? Is that right? And I believe there's another Sweetwater event.
Yes, as you can see, a lot of the documentaries are dealing with social justice and social impact, and they're also incredibly entertaining. There is one film, a very important film, and it's directed by a filmmaker who was here before, Antonio Mendez Esparza. He did a little film called Life and Nothing More, which we also released around the United States, and it won a lot of awards. This new film is called Courtroom 3H, and it's about family court in in Florida, in Tallahassee, where he just took a month and he let the people who were running the court, the people who were there, who had the problems, whether it's dealing with families or juvenile delinquency, and let the camera roll. And it's an incredible film in the tradition of Wiseman, and we're really proud to be showing it. And then we have a film, Who We Are, who is it's a lecture by a gentleman who was one of the top people at UCLA, UC, I didn't mean to say UCLA, American for Civil Liberties.
The NAACP?
Yes, thank you for correcting me.
There's a lot of acronyms.
It's a film that he filmed a lecture that he had taken all around the country. And it's probably the most current film and the most educational film, and the one that would probably make sense to so many different people regarding what is going on in this country right now and what got us here in the first place.
And then just on the note of returning filmmakers, the directors of Free Solo, the Academy Award-winning film that we had at the festival a few years ago, are back with a new film called The Rescue, which is about the Thai soccer team that was trapped in the cave a few years back, that I'm sure most people remember. Really incredible. It's not. Some of it is a little bit of a recreation, but a lot of it is not, and it's a remarkable and really gripping story about the people who helped make that rescue possible. And they're known for their scaling mountains type of films, but they go obviously into great depths and create something really amazing with this film.
I tell you, it's great hearing just to revisit these films that we've been watching throughout these months. And I'm kind of excited about the festival all of a sudden, It's kind of great. There's some really great stuff. Let's look at some more clips. We're going to see a film called Julia. Guess which Julia it refers to. Boulado, and a film called Dune. Let's see these three.
I'm Julia Child. Today you have rock star chefs. Julia's the first.
I think I love you.
Julia had these kind of romantic dreams for what her life might be. She was really pining for adventure.
I did want to be a spy, and I thought I'd be a very good one.
She never looked back.
As soon as I got into France and realized what it was all about, one taste of that food and I never got over it. I decided that I would enroll in the Cordon Bleu.
Cooking was a world of men.
Women were basically part of the window dressing.
You certainly didn't see them teaching. I'm Julia Child. Welcome to the French chef.
She changed everything.
She really knew what she was doing. Terrific technique.
She just seemed so unpretentious.
Well, that didn't go very well.
She was giving you this opportunity to say, don't be afraid of failure.
And here it is.
When you cook, you give your love. God knows it's a love affair with Paul.
Julia's advice for a good marriage was the 3 F's. Feed your man, flatter your man, and you had to your man.
Julia Child presents the Chicken Sisters.
They were sort of easing her out. She said, forget it, I'm done. And she quit.
Julia was a dynamic force that would not be silenced.
Darling, we're going to have so much fun.
Julia was more than a cook. She was a cultural force. She changed America.
We need to tell how important this woman is, was, will be.
Sempre ito junto conmigo, viendo y te acaricia a mí, no a mi cara, ora mi te en soledad. Laga sintikos nang uminato comprende.
Waarom ben je niet op school?
Mama sugra. Tur sushi. Hawe. Kostrai pasal.
Espiritu di mama at tumakontakto ko.
Manera morto. Ita papi cuci-cuci come.
Lagrima ng indikatibo, ng sanger, ng sodo, at renta ng eteraki.
Die konjo-geesten.
Respetati zij. Mucha valente. E tem espírito de guerreiro, ninja.
Começa com ele! Sali!
Zo'n doorzetter.
It's a pretty amazing cross-section of films, isn't it? But all 3 of those films reside in the strand that we've called spirit. And so you can see the kind of spectrum of, of work that actually creates that connection with the spirit. From someone like Julia Child, I mean, what a spirit. To Bulado, which is set in Curacao, and this, kudos to Joanne, is the first film we have ever had from Curacao. And then Dune, Denis Villeneuve's new film. I mean, what else to say? But the other thing I just wanted to point out as well, the Julia Child film, it's directed by Julie Cohen and Betsy West, who also directed RBG, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg film. And it's one of the films also, not just in the spirit strand, but it's also a Mind the Gap film. So it's directed by women. Once again, we've made that commitment with the Mind the Gap initiative to intersectionality, to women directors. We've got around 55% women directors again this year, which is, yeah, thank you. You know, big testament to how we look at films and how we seek for films. Then Boulado, I'm going to throw that over to you, Joanne. Let's.
Oh, Boulado.
Go on.
I saw this film back at the Berlin Film Festival, early in the year, and just was completely mesmerized by it.
Wait a minute, where did you see it?
At the Berlin.
Did you go to Berlin?
No, online.
Yeah, we've been doing.
I
a lot
went
of
to
online
Berlin
festivals
virtually.
This year.
It was fantastic and a lot warmer than it usually is in February.
Yes.
And normally, I haven't been able to go to Berlin for a long time, so it was actually really amazing to be able to see it remotely. And it's as Zoe mentioned, it's set in, it's a Curacao film. It's Dutch Curacao co-production, but the first time we've ever had anything from that Caribbean nation, and very specific to that community, that island, that experience. But it's just. As you can see in the trailer, and as Zoe mentioned, that it's part of this spirit strand. It's this amazing young girl, caught between sort of the physical and realist version of her father's world and the shamanic spiritual world of her grandfather. And it's just stunning to see. I mean, I've never been to Curacao, but it definitely made me want to go. But the cinematography is incredible, and it's just, we're really so thrilled to be able to. I would also say it is the film that I fought the hardest to get in this festival. I've been fighting to get this film since February.
Yeah, I mean, behind the scene, the scenes. Sometimes it's as simple as just, phoning somebody up and say, "Can we show you a film?" Other times it can take literally in this case, months of negotiation. And, it has to do again with films being shown for the first time and people wanting to be very selective about how they bring their films out into the world and who they want to see them. So real congratulations to you, Joanne, on getting that one. I think it's great. And of course you mentioned cinematography in that, and then there's Dune.
I was very impressed how you connected Dune with Julia. And now for Julia, when I grew up, I would hear that voice. I would never really look at the television. I was doing other things at that age. But once I saw this film, I just fell in love with her. I mean, it is such a wonderful film.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up with her either. I grew up in England. I had never heard of Julia Child until I came here. And I heard Jane Dornacker a comedian, do an impression of her. And then after hearing that impression, I saw Julia Child, and I thought, oh my God, that's Jane Dornacker. It was completely wackadoodle, but what an icon. And I mean, she is really the ultimate sort of, it's like the ultimate Mind the Gap kind of film. What an amazing spirit, what a genius of a woman, and somebody who's just completely living her most powerful and authentic life. I mean, just amazing. Denis Villeneuve is going to be the recipient of one of our Spotlight Awards. He'll be receiving the Mill Valley Film Festival Award here. Right, Mark? So that's something to look forward to as well. Other films that you might want to look out for: Women is Losers, which is a US film again. It's by Lizette Feliciano, and so that again is a Mind the Gap film.
There's a little film Jockey there too.
Yeah, Jockey is not. Yeah, Jockey is again. That's not one of the Mind the Gap films, but that was a Sundance film. We all went to Sundance virtually as well.
Right. It's about a jockey, obviously, and who has a number of injuries, and the jockey is played by Clifton Collins, and you may not recognize his name, but you would certainly recognize his face, and he's an incredible actor. And it's about a young jockey that comes along and thinks that this gentleman, the older jockey, is his father.
No spoilers, right?
No, that's not a spoiler. It's really
not a
happens
spoiler,
really
no.
early on.
But yeah, I loved that film. I loved watching that film. You know, it really took me on that journey. It was pretty special. And then there's something like Mission Joy. I mean, that title kind of is a little bit of a giveaway, but Joanne, I'm going to throw that one at you.
Yeah, this is another one. You know, in the realm of spirit, and this is a film about the relationship between the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu. I can't say that I could easily spend hours just watching the two of them giggle together, because there's a lot of that in this film. But them
Just
really
what we need this year.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. His Holiness and Tutu giggling a lot. It's adorable, but it's also just incredibly heartwarming. And there's just, you know, they're basically exploring how to find. I believe the subtitle of that film is "How to Find Happiness in Troubled Times," and I think that pretty much sums up what we all need and what this film delivers. So, highly recommend that.
Well, next we're going to see a couple of trailers. These are from our world cinema section. One is The Hand of God from Italy, and Rickshaw Girl from Bangladesh.
Another first, right?
Another first, yes.
La realtà non mi piace più. La realtà è scadente.
Ma è mai possibile che questa città non ti fa in mente niente a raccontare?
Ed era bellissima.
Insomma, schis, a dire qualcosa riesci. A dire una cosa da raccontare! Sì! A dire bella!
Sometimes I think there's no place for me in this world.
Nonsense! You're my hero!
Then you need better heroes. What happened to him?
Riksha চালাইতে গিয়া পড়ে গেছে. Do you know him?
He's my father.
Your stupid painting cannot bring money for us.
What do you need to be a rickshaw puller?
Need to be a man first. What's your name again?
No.
Do you have any experience in rickshaw pulling?
Don't give up painting.
I will never give up painting. What are you looking at?
Rickshaw girl.
Well, these are two masterful directors from different parts of the world. Paolo Sorrentino obviously is known internationally for The Great Beauty and Youth, and this is very much an autobiographical story, and I believe he even filmed it where he grew up, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you could be right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful film. You see, no spoilers, but you see a little filming going in there. There may be references to some great Italian filmmakers.
Yeah, you know, it's honestly, Mark, seeing this, it's like, you know, you think Italian film, oh my God, it's just like something to look forward to. And this will not disappoint in that regard, like at every level, right?
Right, yeah. And Rickshaw Girl is, it's just a beautiful film, and it's about 50% in English, and I hope we will be seeing a lot more from this director because he's so talented. And as you can see how color plays such a wonderful part in this film, and you hear a reference to her never give up painting. But it is also a story about gender and constraints for women and strength. I really love this film. Joanne, I think?
So it's actually, it's in the family film section as well. This is a really wonderful film that kind of crosses all, you know, it's super intergenerational, if you will, as far as appeal. And actually, I double-checked yesterday with the producer, and it's actually 95% in English.
Oh.
And just if, you know, I actually, my memory of it, of watching it, I thought it was the same. I thought it was half and half, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, why is it all in English? And then I asked, and in fact, it is mostly in English. So, meaning it is extremely accessible, and as Zoe mentioned beforehand, it's a first for us to have a film from Bangladesh as well. And this will be our North American premiere. And not only, so the producer is actually local, he lives up in Petaluma, Eric Adams. The writer of the young adult novel that it's based on, Matali Perkins, is also local, based in the East Bay. So not only will they be here, but they are also, we are bringing in the director, and I believe we are currently working on the star. Fingers crossed on that, uncertain. We can't get people here from like England, but for some reason we can get them here from Bangladesh, go figure. So yeah, I'm really, really thrilled with that film too.
And there's also some other related films here. Paper and Glue, Zoe, would you like to talk about that?
Well, this is our member screening this year, and it's by J.R. Do you remember Faces, Places, the film? Yeah, right. The film that he made with Agnes Varda that we showed here a few years ago. J.R. is, I mean, really one of the most original artists of his generation. He's the one who makes those, you know, he came to San Francisco about, I want to say 3 years ago. Yeah, and he was doing these extraordinary murals of people. He's really into people. And he did a show at the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco as well. So we just thought that this was, you know, that there was a connection with the festival, there was a connection with the Bay Area, with these, you know, with the art project that he'd done, and that this would be a great choice for this year's member screening. So that will be what we'll be showing.
And a number of both these films, The Hand of God and, well, actually The Hand of God and another film that's related to this section we're talking about, or strand, is The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne. Both these films have just played at Telluride. And The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne stars Benedict Cumberbatch. And it's a true story of, you may remember that artist of many, many decades ago who did these incredible pictures of cats. He was obsessed with cats and drawing animals, and extremely eccentric man.
Full disclosure, I had not heard of him, but I had totally recognized the drawings, right? You know,
Yes,
and they just were incredibly populist. And actually also, a little backstory, so Benedict Cumberbatch, who's also a producer on this film, is also the star of Jane Campion's next film, The Power of the Dog. And, you know, to have a New Zealand filmmaker making her first Western set in the 1920s in Montana with the British Benedict Cumberbatch as the very macho cowboy at the center of the story, you might think that's an odd combination, but I tell you, it's one of the most amazing performances of his career, and a real testament to both of their work, I think.
Great. So, Zoe, are you going to present the next
Well,
section?
do you want to just touch on to Sammy, Joe, and I, Joanne?
Oh, yeah, another really wonderful film, a Swiss film called Sammy, Joe, and I, about three teenage girls, summer between, I think, summer after their senior year. They're sort of about to launch, and it's kind of just about their incredible friendship and love for each other, but all the different situations and things that they have to go through, both as young women and just as women in general. But just a really amazing film. And we just found out, I think this morning actually, that the Swiss somehow were able to get an exception for that director to come as well. So she will be
Really?
here too. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I think that's also a North American premiere. Really lovely film.
That's great. Well, we're going to see a couple more trailers. The highly anticipated Spencer, the very highly anticipated The Last Bus, and the even more highly anticipated The French Dispatch. So let's roll those trailers.
Ma'am, they're waiting for you.
They know everything. They don't.
Where to?
Land's End, please.
800 miles away.
Don't you start.
If any of our lovely listeners are out and about today, keep your eyes peeled for a mystery pensioner on a journey of over 800 miles from one end of the country to the other, one local bus at a time.
What's your name? Tom.
Hello, mate, you alright? What are you doing out at this time of night? You're coming home with us. Tom's travelling.
For my wife.
Well, I hope you make it.
We should have gone out when you asked me to.
I'll get us there. I promise.
How can you say it on that thing?
I think that's enough.
What's this?
It's my bus pass.
You bumped 300 odd miles off.
He's an old man. I'll pay for his ticket.
Stay, honey, watch me smile. I can make it last for miles and miles.
Are you going somewhere?
Oh, far, far away.
That sounds exciting.
Oh, you got my case. Just give me that back. There's nothing for you to sell in there.
Takes you extraordinary places where you don't belong.
I think I know you. You are brave, man.
Please take this.
Your money's not good near, mate. Go on. Thank you.
And tonight you don't wanna go home. And tonight you don't wanna go home.
You don't have to do this.
Yes, I do.
I love you, Tom. See your heart match up rather than it light up and burn you home.
What are you all doing here?
We came for you.
It began as a holiday. Eager to escape a bright future on the Great Plains, Arthur Howitzer Jr. transformed the series of travelogue columns into the French Dispatch, a factual weekly report on the subjects of world politics, the arts, high and low, and diverse stories of human interest.
You don't think it's almost too seedy this time?
No, I don't.
For decent people.
It's supposed to be charming.
He assembled a team of the best expatriate journalists of his time: Berenson, Sazarek, Kremens, Roebuck Wright. These were his people.
Just try to make it sound like you wrote it that way on purpose.
We take as the subject of tonight's lecture Mr. Moses Rosenthaler, certainly the loudest artistic voice of his rowdy generation.
Simone Naked Cell Block J Hobby Room. I want to buy it.
It's not for sale.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes.
In short, the picture was a sensation.
The kids did this. Obliterated 1,000 years of Republican authority in less than a fortnight. What do they want? Freedom. Full stop.
I'm naked, Mrs. Kremens.
I can see that.
Lieutenant Nescaffier. He is the great exemplar of the mode of cuisine known as police cooking.
The aromas of the kitchen cast a spell, which was to be mortally broken.
As you know by now, we have kidnapped your son.
A message from the foreman. 1 hour to press.
You're fired.
Really?
Don't cry in my office.
Only Wes Anderson would team up Timothée Chalamet in a little romantic episode with Frances McDormand. And of course, The French Dispatch is by Wes Anderson. We started this triptych with Spencer, Pablo Larraín's film, which takes place over a 3-day period where a young woman who happens to be a princess is visiting the in-laws over Christmas, when the in-laws are the British royal family. And she's also just about discovered that her husband is having an affair. It's a truly remarkable film, great performances. There's even a scarecrow in it. Pablo Larraín, you may remember, we showed his film Jackie here, about Jackie Kennedy. He has an extraordinary take on Diana Spencer. The film recently played at Telluride, was getting a lot of very interesting buzz. And what I love about it is that it doesn't go down the road of being like a biopic. It's truly its own amazing piece of art. And Kristen Stewart as Lady Di, who'd have thunk it? Again, really, really interesting. And then there's a connection between Spencer and The Last Bus. And it is the lead actor. So The Last Bus there, you saw Timothy Spall taking the bus for an 800-mile journey across from the most northerly part of the British Isles to the most southerly part. This was one little backstory. Karen Davis, who many of you will know is one of our World Cinema programmers, started working on this last year, tried to get it for the festival, wasn't able to, renewed the invitation this year, hoping that we were going to be able to bring Timothy Spall here. And despite help from lawyers and God knows what, British people are not allowed to come to the United States right now. My family cannot visit me, although I can visit them. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get Timothy Spall here, but we do have the film. It's by Gilles McKinnon, and it's kind of wonderful. And then The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's new film, will be our closing night film. I mean, what better way to end a festival this year? Do we want to talk about a few other titles before? Yeah, let's do that. Who'd like to jump in on something here?
Well, I just want to say, though, about Spencer and Pablo Larraín. He's another example of a director like the other ones that we refer to that can make a film like Neruda or No in Spanish,
yeah.
and then come across with Jackie and Spencer. He's truly an exceptional filmmaker.
I know. I kind of love it when I can see somebody else, somebody from a particular culture turn their eyes on something as extreme as the American, you might as well call the Kennedys the American royal family or the British royal family, and just brings an incredible insight and perception into the
There's
work.
a strand for you.
What?
There's a strand for you.
Royalty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple other films that fall in that, and another world-class director, Pedro Almodovar.
Yeah. Again, the third initiative, we've mentioned Active Cinema and Mind the Gap, is Viva El Cine. And Pedro Almodovar's new film, Parallel Mother, is, again, I just feel like his work just keeps on getting richer and richer. He's such a masterful filmmaker. This one has some people you will recognize, including Penelope Cruz in it. It definitely, vintage Almodovar. I think he's gone from being, sort of like the bad boy on the block to being just like one of the world's greatest filmmakers. He's probably always one of the world's greatest, right? But he's really doing extraordinary work at this point in his life. Another Viva El Cine title is La Civile, which is a film that is set in Mexico and is kind of hard to describe, except I will say this. It has one of the most powerful performances of the year. The lead actress takes us on a journey in this film that is a journey that begins as seeking somebody, but ends as a journey of self-exploration and transformation. And it's a really, really extraordinary performance that I'm very proud that we have this here. So again, look out for the Viva El Cine titles. Okay, who'd like to jump on to Come On, Come On? Because we all love this film.
We have to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's so great when you can welcome back different directors, as many are coming this year.
Yeah.
So Come On, Come On is the film we're referring to. And it's directed by Mike Mills, who did 20th Century Women, which we showed a number of years back, and stars Joaquin Phoenix. It's just a beautiful film about Joaquin Phoenix has a nephew, a young nephew, and they go on a road trip.
They do. And again, Mike Mills has got a local connection, grew up in Berkeley, I think, right?
He did.
Yeah. And that will be our centerpiece film this year. Other local connections, Bad Attitude. I believe the filmmaker is from San Francisco. Am I right in that? See, I haven't memorized everything in the whole world, but...
You haven't?
No.
Goodness.
Oh my God. Joanne, Marvelous in the Black Hole. Want to jump onto Marvelous?
Marvelous in the Black Hole is another family feature that stars Mia Czech, who was a young actress who was also in Always Be My Maybe, and Rhea Perlman, who many of you all may remember from Cheers. And it's a first feature by a director named Kate Sang, who's based out in LA. She will also be attending. Just a really wonderful coming-of-age film about a girl, struggling with having the grief of losing her mother. There's magic. As you saw in the very last image in the festival trailer at the beginning, there, Rhea Perlman that pretty much sums up Marvelous in the Black Hole.
Yeah, that was a great ending spot. They did a great job with the trailer this year. It's really wonderful.
Before we go on to the other big nights, I just want to say something about Wes Anderson. Actually, I'm not saying it, but the head critic of Variety has said about this film that his vision grows more expansive and more impressive with each successive project. This film is an anthology in which represents a newspaper, and it really is a love letter to journalists.
It's kind of like The New Yorker. It's
Yeah.
based on The New Yorker.
Yeah, and it is a love letter to writers. And it's set up with an obituary, a travel guide, and 3 feature articles, and has a cast that is impressive enough and large enough for 5 movies. So we're very happy to have that for our closing night film.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to Wes Anderson that, you know, so many people really, really want to work with him in basically what are tiny but brilliant parts. It's just every moment is a gem. So we've mentioned closing night. We've mentioned Dune, which will be a MVFF award for Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
What else have we mentioned?
Come on, will be centerpiece.
Come on, is centerpiece.
Power of the Dog
Power
will
of the
be a
Dog.
tribute to
Jane
Campion.
Yeah.
And there's more.
There is.
A lot more. So should we go right to opening night?
Go for it, Mark. Go for it.
This film is called Cyrano, and you can understand what it's based on, and it stars Peter Dinklage, and it's directed by Joe Wright, and it stars also Haley Bennett, who's married to Joe Wright, and it is, you could either call it a musical drama or a dramatic musical, but nevertheless, it is an extraordinarily beautiful, moving piece, moving in every way, moving on how you reacted to it, and beautiful in terms of the design of it. And what's really impressive was he made this film during the pandemic as well. That doesn't reflect on its quality, as it could have been made anytime, but it's just a very, very impressive film, entertaining film, and I highly recommend it for opening night.
And another highly recommended one, of course, is Kenneth Branagh's film, Belfast. I tell you, I tear up thinking about so many of these films. But Belfast is set in the 1960s in Belfast. It's the beginning of the Troubles there. Kenneth Branagh was born in Belfast. This is not autobiographical, but I want to say it's a film full of love. As you know, the challenges and the trials of in Ireland are very much rooted in the struggles between Protestants and Catholics. They're very ancient struggles, and this talks about that beginning of that time. And of course, there's an extraordinary cast, including Judi Dench, who plays Grandma. It's very powerful, and it's essentially like a love story in a way.
You know, Zoe, I see a similarity between Belfast and Cyrano in a way. One is I think they are perfect for this time, yet they're not about this time, and they are about really love.
It's interesting how many films that are dealing with conflict through compassion. Reminding me of another year when that happened for us.
And both of these filmmakers are returning. Well, Joe Wright, if he keeps doing closing night for us, he may get to the point that he has as many closing night films as Ang Lee has over the years.
Right.
So his first film that showed at Mill Valley was Pride and Prejudice, Darkest Hour most recently. Yeah. And Kenneth Branagh was here many, many years ago, not for the festival, but with a little story called Hamlet, where he and Robin Williams appeared together with us at the Regency.
Yeah.
A very long time ago.
Yeah. Another special screening is Passing, which is by Rebecca Hall, who will be here. This is the first, it's a film by somebody who's making her first feature, but she has a very interesting track record as an actor. And that has actually inspired the Mind the Gap Directors Forum this year. So the Mind the Gap panels will all take place online, and they're lining up to be some really interesting discussions with some truly amazing people. So again, for your online enjoyment, definitely check out some of those offerings. Apropos of that, we also we learned something last year about the online world. We liked that it offered us the way, it opened the door to honoring some of the films that we were showing as online opening films. So we started last year showing a world cinema, US cinema, documentary, and family film as our online opening films. And we've done that again this year. The world cinema title, you've actually just seen the trailer for, The Last Bus, which is just, a great trip. US is Queen of Glory. Joanne, do you want to talk about that, or do you want me to?
Queen of Glory is great. So have any of you guys been watching The Chair, the new Netflix series with Sandra Oh? So the director and star of this film, I'm spacing on her name, but
Nana Mensah.
Nana Mensah.
Yeah.
She stars and directs this. It's just a really wonderful performance and first-time feature about her experience as a Nigerian-American woman who ends up inheriting her mother's Christian
apartment and her
bookstore.
Christian bookstore, yes.
And having to take that on. Really great.
Yeah, and and again, first feature by an actor, so they're doing that thing.
And also, in terms of passing, it's directed by Rebecca Hall, who is an incredibly established and wonderful actress.
Right? Yeah, I was mentioning.
Which
that
also
before,
brings you to The Lost Daughter.
Yes, which we didn't mention yet, did we? Ah, my God.
But also directed by an actress as her first feature film debut.
Yes. Those of you who were here in, I guess, 2017 may remember that we did the Mind the Gap Award with Maggie Gyllenhaal. And at that point, she'd just secured the rights to Elena Ferrante's book, The Lost Daughter, and was about to direct her first feature. God, there are so many films I love this year. I'm happy to report that I think it's one of the most extraordinary first features I've ever seen. It's firing on every cylinder. I mean, it's just her work with actors is exquisite. The writing is gorgeous. The way that it's composed is beautiful. The interface with the soundtrack and music, it just has a quality that's really quite wonderful. So that will be one of our other spotlights, and I'm fingers crossed Maggie Gyllenhaal will also be joining the Mind the Gap Directors Forum panel. But then we've also got a documentary as our online opening, Becoming Cousteau. Cousteau, another person who needs no introduction, I guess, really. And then we've got a wonderful family film. So if you want to have a family experience online, we have, ta-da, Joanne.
We have The Bear's Famous Invasion. It is a really lovely animated feature from Italy. It's an Italy-France co-production, so it's actually in French, but it's a first feature by a very well-known Italian illustrator. So the animation and the feel of the film is really beautiful, but it's basically bears versus humans, but not in a Planet of the Apes kind of way. It's much gentler than that. But it's very much about how the animal world and the human world interact, and there's a lot of adventure in search of a lost bear son. It's very sweet.
And there's another big night that is absolutely not a family film, and it's directed by Sean Baker, who did the Florida Project and Tangerine, and was here with in this very theater. Florida Project, and it's called Red Rocket. It played in competition at the Cannes Film Festival. And Mickey is the main character, and it's been said about him, you may despise Mickey, but you will never forget him. He's about a kind of a washed-up porn star
And it's Simon Rex, who's, again, another
Local.
San Francisco-born person. That's going to be a spotlight with a Mind the Gap Award for Simon Rex. And, I mean, his performance is, well, let's say energetic.
Yes, he is
It's
energetic.
dynamic, wonderful, irreverent. And Sean Baker never ceases to amaze me. I mean, he's just done some amazing work. He's a very, one of the true originals in the filmmaking world.
I think we covered many of the big nights,
covered a
or
lot,
all the
yeah.
big nights so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, I think we might even be
What
running
about
over
the
time.
films that are kind of the hidden gems?
Oh, God, hidden gems. Oh, yeah. Well, one of my favorites this year is Petite Maman by Celine Sciamma. That is like a gem of gems.
I think it was everybody who saw that film at the Berlin Film Festival, it was their favorite film of the whole festival, pretty much.
Yeah.
Petite Maman.
Yes.
You mentioned The Rescue, I think.
Yes,
right?
we did mention The Rescue. I would say my favorite hidden gem is The Last Film Show, which
Yes.
is an Indian film that's essentially, it's basically the Indian cinema paradiso, and it's just beautiful, and from the perspective of a 9-year-old boy in love with film. And it was directed by an Indian director named Pan Nalan, who was with us 20 years ago with a documentary about Ayurvedic healing. So it just seems like a nice way to bring him back after 20 years. Beautiful film.
Do you have any other favorites, Mark?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it very briefly, Haute Couture. It's a French film. It's just so authentic and entertaining. It's about a woman who's about to retire, who's a dressmaker for Dior. And she meets, through circumstances that were not very friendly, a young Arabic woman, and who has no desire to be sewing or working in a house of Dior. But nevertheless, a relationship develops.
And she has the talent. And it's based on a true story.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yep. And that's by Sylvie Chaillon.
And there's one other, though, I think we should mention, Ninja Baby.
Oh, God, go for it.
Well, this was a film that also played in Berlin, and you're not quite sure where it was going, but it involves a young woman who the last thing she wants is to be a mother. And it involves a lot of animation, and it's just so quirky and adorable. Did you see that, Joanne?
I have not seen it yet.
You saw
I'm
it,
dying
Zoe,
to see
didn't
it.
you?
I've heard it.
No, wow.
Yeah.
It's,
KD.
well, I guess it must have been Katie and
Yeah.
myself who
It was
pushed
you and
it.
KD, yeah, down to you.
Yeah. It's really, yes, you could say in one sense it's a young person's movie, but it really is for, I believe, anyone who's young at heart.
So I'm going to sort of speak for Joao, who isn't on stage with us tonight, but I know that one of the films that he and I both really loved is Drive My Car, Japanese film. And it's, again, one that we saw in Cannes online. Don't be put off, but it's quite long, but I found it, I just could not give up. It's brilliant. I mean, it's just a truly brilliant film.
And I think one
Drive
more
My
film,
Car.
I wouldn't call it a hidden gem, but I think we
Which
shouldn't
one?
overlook it, A Hero.
Oh, God, Asghar Farhadi.
Yes.
Yes, one of the great Iranian filmmakers.
And this film as well, like a number of this had played either Telluride or Venice in the last week, and it was very, very well received there.
Oh my God, and Bergman Island. Mia Hansen loves, oh come on, there's so much. Listen, you can't go wrong.
How much time do you guys
Well,
have?
I think we're actually, I can see poor Christine over there wishing she'd come up with a
Right,
cue
right,
for
right.
us. As you can see, we haven't gotten out much lately, and we don't get to talk to everybody about film, and we are we missed it. I'm just going to make one last plug, though, which is just that there also are a lot of shorts in the festival again this year. Sterling Hedgepeth, our shorts programmer and programming manager, did an amazing job with several shorts programs. There's 3 different shorts programs in the family section, including films by youth filmmakers, and also a couple in the doc section. So don't think that we overlook the shorts. They do exist. But I think that they want us to wrap up now because we've been talking too much.
And don't forget the panels that Zoe mentioned. We also have our State of the Industry, where we will have the directors of the Sundance Festival, the Telluride Festival, Ted Hope, the former head of Amazon Studios
And
and
former
the
head of
producer.
San Francisco Film Festival, actually, too.
What?
And also former head
And
of
San Francisco, yeah. And who's produced 70 films, and some of them that won Academy Awards. So don't miss that as well. Well, we want to thank you for
Indulging us.
Indulging us, yes. And we thank you for your support of the past festivals and our current festival. And we are just, as you can see, very excited to bring these films to you in 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Christine, did you want to say? Yeah, I think she was going to talk about ticket sales.
No, yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah, so just wanted to come up here. So I know, do you guys remember everything that they said? Yeah. So just want to let you know our full program is going to be available starting tomorrow. We're going to send it all out to everyone on email, and it is also going to be available on our website, MVFF.com. I just want to thank our wonderful people who came tonight, Zoe, Mark, and Joanne. Yay! Thank you all.
Thank you, Christine.
And of course, I want to thank all of our members here who are in the theater tonight in person, and of course, everyone who stayed on the line with us at home. It was really, really wonderful to have you all tuning in. I hope you've gotten, quite a broad look at what our festival is going to look like this year. On the screen right now, just as a reminder, are our dates, our on-sale dates. They're coming up very soon. And as I mentioned, we are releasing that program tomorrow, so please keep an eye out for it. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us tonight, everyone.